So let's begin. Welcome to class. Today we are talking about samskaras. And if you look at the little writing that I have attached to the video and the articles, I think they're good ones. One of them is kind of an overview of what are samskaras, what does samskara mean, and how do these grooves and patterns impact our lives and behaviors. And the other one is more of that, but then also kind of like an instruction manual in terms of how to create new ones or overcome those that have not been serving us. So I hope you can take a look at it, at those articles. I think they're are valuable. Any learning and educating ourselves is an important part of living skillfully and practicing and changing habits that do not serve us, which is what our topic is about today, samskaras. So the way that samskaras are talked about in yogic philosophy, and this also, of course, comes from Hindu philosophy, is these are patterns or ways of thinking, ways of behaving that become etched in our psyche, in our, certain thoughts and certain behaviors become more automatic, like really like as we become, the longer we live and the longer we do things, if we do things in reaction, we often kind of go through our lives and we get automatic, we develop sort of automatic reactions, automatic assumptions and thoughts and behaviors and reactions to things. And they happen so quickly that we don't even realize that we're doing it. These automatic thoughts. And that's because they have become grooves that have, because we've repeated them so many times over the years, we just sort of naturally go that way. It's the path of least resistance. And so we just keep sort of going and reacting in that way without consciously realizing why, what we're doing that. Even maybe there could be a different way of thinking about this or a different way of responding to whatever is happening. And so one way, the way that we look at how samskaras are formed, initially they form when in the midst of some thought or experience that we're aware of in the moment, that we're very aware of at the time. So for example, a baby or a toddler or a young one isn't getting what they want and they have a tantrum, and the mom, in order to quiet the baby down, just because she wants to move on with her day, she gives the baby what they want. And the baby's like, that worked. I'm going to do that again. And so, and if over time, every time that baby who becomes a child, who becomes a young adult and an older adult, they respond by, throwing a fit when they don't get what they want, and that's a way that that they get what they want. Then that's sort of how that's a samskara, a pattern that they've developed over time. And it sort of it becomes a habit, and they don't, and it becomes it can become an unconscious habit. But initially it starts with when you're very aware of what's going on at the time. And I think about this when this comes to mind for me when my mom died a couple years ago. And at that time, I was very aware of what was going on. Like I was aware of the clothes I was wearing that day, you know, what I was wearing, the hospital, the weather, the time of year. It was around Mardi Gras. The we had had a it was just before Mardi Gras. We had had a freeze in New Orleans. It doesn't freeze much, right? And this was it happened in the midst of a if anybody here is from New Orleans that's listening, like the last major freeze that we had a couple of years ago. And and anyway, so I was really aware of like all these things, cold weather, what I was wearing, the holiday at the time, and I noticed that I was compelled to like I don't think I ever want to wear this outfit again. Or I know, or even imagine when cold weather, I hate, when cold weather comes again, you know, I know this is how I feel, this is how it's going to make me feel. And, what am I going to do? Um, and then there's the first holiday, with her gone. And how, those of us who have lost a loved one, and here we are, okay, we're in the holidays. Um, those of us who have lost a loved one, the holidays can be a challenge. And so here I am. And these feelings. And so, you know, even, as the memories about, just telling this story, I just caught myself by surprise and um, and suddenly being overwhelmed with the feelings of grief and um, wow, how it comes over you. um, so I I noticed when those memories. Yeah. So I noticed when I began to have um I got if I wasn't careful, I was going to be establishing a samskara, a pattern, a habit that was not going to serve me and in the way or serve my life in a way that was best. And so resisted the reaction to or resisted the being compelled to react to the avoidance that I noticed I wanted to do. Like, I'm going to avoid this, I'm going to avoid that because it reminds me of my grief or my loss. And so I knew that I did not want to begin to establish that, because like, hey, I've worn this outfit a million times and it doesn't have to be now associated with my mother's death. The holidays, I've been through so many holidays, and many of them have been joyful, some of them have not been. This holiday, without my mom, it's one of the holidays. It's not the all-encompassing expression of the holiday season every year. It doesn't have to be if I don't make it be. If I don't start digging that groove, I start following that, and we may have certain traditions and things that we do, and they become habit and tradition, and something may change in our lives that where we can't do that anymore, like a loved one is gone or our family has changed. This is going to be a very different holiday for me too, with the change in my family structure. And so we can be very aware of thoughts and emotions and behaviors in the midst of something, and then the habit can follow that we repeat it, repeat this particular reaction. And that repetition can be something that we want, something that's good for us and the rest of the world, or it could not be. It could be something that contributes to pain, actually suffering. That pain is inevitable in a particular moment when it's happening. When you get hurt, when you lose someone, the pain of something is what it is. It's the repetition of reliving it, imagining or remembering or imagining something in the future that's related to it. That's the suffering. And so the more that we can be intentional and aware of our responses and our habits, and being intentional about what will serve us best and what will serve others best, and practice changing something if that's what's called for, and developing new grooves, so that that groove, the river starts, stream starts, and it starts digging a groove, and over time it deepens and widens, and it becomes the path of least resistance. But when we want to establish a new path, it takes more intention at the beginning, and more work and more practice, but we do it. And the more we do it, the more natural that becomes. And the more we do it, the more natural it becomes. And, we're fighting this big Mississippi River here, but we're creating a new one. So know that it's going to take some effort. And so that's where our practice comes in. And it begins with intention. It begins with intention. And courage to begin going down a new path. And practice, and practice again. And in the midst of all of that, being kind to ourselves and knowing that, this conditioning that we are up against is, at this point, it's not our fault. it's our conditioning. And so forgive ourselves as we, if we find ourselves, I'm going down this other river, this other path again. That's kind of expected, if you're not, because that has been the path of least resistance. Just come on back over, okay? And so, today we are going to play with intention and awareness in this moment. Pausing to really be aware and respond to our given situation rather than react, and move with courage and compassion. So let's get ready. Let's settle down and find your seat. Bring awareness here, and being with whatever is here, allowing it to be. And knowing that we can hold so many things in our awareness, things that feel good and things that are painful. We can hold it all as loving kindness. Awareness here in this moment. Noticing, whatever feelings may be there. Just noticing the felt sense in the body. Letting go of memory and imagination, just being here with it right now in the body, what it feels like. Awareness of this space that we are in. Grounding ourselves here. Feeling the sound, sensations, smells, a general sense of awareness here. And awareness of breath. Our life force, energy of life that courses through our bodies and all around us. This connection. And we'll begin with samskaras breathing, which is an even inhale and exhale to a count of 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. And continue with that